stuff. I've done this 3 times, so hopefully we go through it kind of smooth. I did this 2 years ago when I started doing this app design, and it worked well. And that's when I first started making a national park app. It was 2 years ago, and we kind of followed this to make it. But I wanted to be more advanced than what I did 2 years ago. I wanted to be like dynamite. That's why we're gonna work in teams to make it dynamite, right? All our brain will come together to make something better than what I made before. Before we start, Sandy, the guy I've met twice now, who makes the Macy's and Nordstrom app. He said this is what he's looking for people to know: the Envision app. That's a prototyping app, right? It's free. We use this in interface design class, if you remember, right? He's like prototypes. He says when we pitch an idea to a client, we don't do any programming. We just build all our screens in this Envision and then go and show the client. If they agree, hey, yeah, this is what we want, then they'll go and do all the Xcode and do all that stuff, right? So, he's like, we don't do any, you just make a prototype, with all the screens and all the interface that they think they need. And, he has a designer, and this is what the designer uses, is just a simple app. Again, it works with Sketch. If you remember from the interface design class, if you were in there in last semester or semester before, there's a plugin that you build your interfaces in Sketch, and then you can export out to this and add the interaction. So if you're interested in learning, again, it's a free prototyping. You get like free 1 or 2 prototypes, and then after that you have to pay. I think, Vicky, you paid for this? Or you had how many? Do you remember how many we?
So the free one is for like 2 to 3 prototypes.
Okay.
But then if you want more than that, then it's like $24 maximum. But
Okay.
then you can use freehand, which is like a really cool feature that they have, where you can like collaborate like with your friends. You can draw stuff on it. It's on Envision as well.
So this prototyping tool gives you free 1 or 2 prototypes, and then you can also collaborate with other people at a distance even, right? You can collaborate where, they can see the screen and you can draw a circle around an area and put some notes to that, because I saw your notes, and so she's been collaborating with people on apps using this. Maybe you can show us some of those?
Sure.
Okay. We can see what she's done with it. She has some nice interfaces that she's done.
Thank you.
If you could come up here, you can plug it into the USB, or not USB, I meant the, this thing, HDMI. Sorry, it's been a long week. Whew. I don't know my connections. Okay, thank you. Take a minute. But we just wanted to, if you could see what she's done collaborating, and give you some idea of how she uses this program to collaborate with others. And those are people around here, local or distance, or who are you collaborating with?
I collaborate with an iOS developer. He lives in Europe. He's my friend, but we're like so far away. So we'll be on call, like on phone, but we add the ideas on freehand on the version.
And while she's getting that ready, let's talk a little bit more. Again, Sandy makes the Nordstrom app. I know that. And so we can look at some of the screen interfaces of the Nordstrom app. Again, after we're done with this project, what I call National Park Project, we'll do one with the tab menu at the bottom down here. As you can see, the Nordstrom app uses that as well. It's kind of the same concepts of using the table menu like this, but you're using a tab menu. But the idea of when you click and go to a new view controller, go to new view controller, it's the same concept. It's just having this is going to be on there all the time. And of course, you have to scroll in here. So, again, building interfaces like this and prototyping them so that's one example there. Let's look at what's on Canvas
If I can find Canvas. I swear I was logged in. Oh, here we go. So on Canvas, there is some of these concepts I think we need to know a little bit. So I don't want to stop using the book. We probably won't get to that today because we'll do this today, okay? But when we get to Wednesday, I still want to come over, and so on Wednesday we'll do some of the book stuff, 3.2, or I'd like to do also. They're very short, very, very, very short. 3.3, they're only like 4 pages. You know, they're very short. 3.3, 3.4, they're very short concepts, and so we can go through all of these on Wednesday together, as well as plan our teams on Wednesday. And if we look here, you'll see this is sort of how I envision it. A national park app with 5 screens. Again, the main menu screen. I will demonstrate how to do the main menu screen with icons. I think I showed you last class the using the Noun project to steal some icons. So I actually have an example already. Basically, it has a menu like we'll make today, and it has an icon here, and then it says camping, and it has an icon here. It says photos. Has an icon here. It says I don't know, map. Yeah. Okay, so I made something like this. The one problem I have is how to add the logo up here of the national park, and then the name. I was going to do Joshua Tree. Size-wise, I put it there, and it gets all kind of messed up. So I'm still working on that. So maybe somebody can help me figure that out, how to do the proper auto layout, because I'm still struggling with that. And then how to size the width here. It is in the programming, but you know how to make this, how to use the text as well. Size of text using dynamic text, and we'll talk a little bit about what's called dynamic text and making sure we're using the default dynamic text so that it can scale. The other thing to keep in mind is we'll make an iPhone version versus an iPad version, not using universal, just to keep it so that you're not dealing with such long layout. If you look at most of the apps, they either have an iPad version or an iPhone version, but not both. So I've made all this. So I'll demonstrate most of that, but an information page, we've kind of made pages like that, but I'd like to see an information page. But maybe we can have a team of students make an information page with photos and text and learn about that. And I'm seeing this in over 2-week period. You know, it's not something we're going to do in 1 week. And a photo gallery. I have some videos and some in here in this book, and where that layout comes from that I just talked about is from this handout that I gave you is from this book. It's a really good book. It's about iOS. They have an 11 now. I know it says 10. I don't have the latest one. Most of the code that works in this, even though it's even Swift 3, it's Swift 4, most of it works fine. They do have a photo kind of thing in here, and so whatever team wants to do that can use that. And then so that would be kind of a page. In the tutorials I have is where it's kind of like a photo gallery, and then when you click on it, it opens up into a larger picture, and then you can scroll through the pictures, and then you can close them. Okay, the tutorial I have does that. Also in the book, they actually go over how you can take your own pictures and add them. I haven't done that though, but maybe if whoever thinks they want to try something like that, I can give you, that book actually goes over how to do it. The biggest problem is we can't do it here, because the school has locked down these computers where you can't connect your phone to it. And the only way to test those kind of things is you have to have a phone that can connect and communicate with the computer, and I don't have that. I have my laptop that can do that, but I'm saying in this room you wouldn't be able to do that. The map, again, I already listed a video that explains how to do that. If anybody's seen the video yet. Yeah, it uses longitude. Latitude, they also have it in that book, also have a tutorial on that, but I'm not going to make copies of everything. I think it'd be best for, you know, they're killing too many trees. And then the internet one, actually in this tutorial, we actually goes over how to connect to the webpage. We'll do that today right now, unless you want to show something, Vicky?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, come on, let's watch it, and then we'll go right into the tutorial. Hopefully we can get to the internet connection today.
The same part then?
No, we're all gonna do different parts. I'm just saying you're gonna learn how to do a section and teach us how to do it. But I want you all to do a different part if you want to, you know? I'm doing Joshua Tree. You can do Joshua Tree.
Is it? That's not the HTML.
It's on the other side. Down here.
So you just want me to go through like how?
Well, just
Envision works?
show them a little bit about it should can I? Nope.
No.
Oh, bummer. Maybe do you have a mirroring option in your?
Let's see. Is that on the display?
Yeah. Arrangement. Mirroring's on. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it should work. It worked last time.
You had it with
I
that one. It might be the projector itself might need to be reset. Oh, there we go.
okay. Yes.
Oh, I had something in there. Did we have something in there? I swear I thought I saw her screen.
Yes, you did.
Is
There
that-
we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes. So do you want me to just go through what Envision
Just show
does?
them maybe the Envision and
Okay.
how you collaborate.
Yes.
So, the Envision is an actual web page. You actually use the page itself. So it's not software that you really install. With the software we install for Sketch is kind of it goes from Sketch to the website. Okay,
Yes.
so it's not necessarily a special software that you install. You do use the browser. Did you
Yeah.
see you're using what, Chrome?
Yes.
Okay.
So with Envision, you can sync your sketch file, or you can upload a flat file, like a picture, like a JPEG graphic, on here, and I will give you a prototype. And for this one, they give you a build mode where you can make your button interactive. So this button, I will make it direct to a different page, and I can also change the transition. So this one I want it to push left, and when I save it and go back to preview mode, after I click on this, it will lead me to the next screen. So I did the design in Sketch, and I import it into Envision. And so here you enter your zip code, and then you click Find Activities, and it's searching. So here is my home screen of the app that I'm doing. Basically, again, I just use the view mode mostly to see the workflow. So now I'm gonna choose this activity, and I will see all the details that of the activities that I have. I have more screen than this, but I'm just doing a quick demo.
No, I think they get the idea now.
Yeah.
So it's like putting hotspots on your images in HTML, right?
Yes, and then it moves, so you can see your user workflow. So now I'm gonna book the activities. Yeah, so this is what you can do with Envision Prototype. The other thing that Envision have is it's called Freehand, where you can collaborate with other people. So you can add people here, and they can edit it live with you. So this is my other app that I'm doing, and I'm collaborating with a friend who live in Europe. So we can draw anything on here, add more stuff on here, and just kind of have a discussion of what we should do next. And to add more frame, you just add image. You can load it straight from Sketch or Photoshop, or you can upload it on your file. So this is how we do the planning for the app, and it's really easy to move stuff. Like if we want to switch the screen, you just drag and drop it. And then you can also present it where they record the video for you, and you just present it to other people. Yeah. So that's all for Envision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully that gives you an idea of planning. I think, tools like that, there's a lot of them out there. And, the hardest thing is coming up with your ideas and implementing them. And thank you. Let's give her a little hand. Okay.
Where was I? Oh, we're going back to this. Okay. Whatever, let's just get started. We're running out of time already. So again, I'm just going to go through this tutorial. It's not too long. It's the handout I gave you, and we'll talk about it. It'll give you an introduction to the, and Sketch is, one last thing, Sketch is actually on these computers if you ever want to try it on these computers right here. And InVision will give you a free student version. So I know they say only 3, I don't know, but no, I don't want to quit that. This is what I wanted to quit. Sketch will give you student version as well. So if you want your own, you have to have a Mac though. Sketch works on Mac. But supposedly Sandy was saying that InVision and Sketch would give students free versions. At least that's what he was pointing out to me. I don't know. You might have to email them. I'm a student. Send your ID to them. Maybe they'll give you free software. Okay, again, I'm going to start with this right here. So I'm going to go right where the tutorial will follow today. Again, table views are a great way to build an app. One of the advantages of table views, and I think we're looking at it, is the ability to add the controller to the table view so that as you go from one screen to another screen to another screen, it actually adds the navigation automatically for you for the back button to go back. You can change the name. I think we did that right before we left for spring break, right? 3.6 and so on. So it's very similar to that. So this first few pages, they don't do anything. They just talk about it. So I'm not gonna read it all to you. Well, I'll just summarize what's in there, and you can spend some time reading in more detail. The first page right here talks about 2 ways of using the table view. One of them is called static, and the other one's called dynamic. Static would be that you actually build the table view by putting table cells on the screen and putting content in those table cells. The other one is called dynamic, where you actually make an array of data, and it will pull the data from the array and build the cell or the view like I drew on the board from that array. And in fact, the tutorial goes out to use a dynamic way. The advantage of the dynamic way is that you can add to it using a database. People can, add to things and remove things, right? Because it's a database and not static. The other advantage of using the dynamic is, of course, you can have thousands of tables. One of the advantages also of using table view is it does something by removing data and adding data dynamically. What I mean by that is, let's say you have a photo gallery. Let's use photo gallery, and you have 1,000 photos. If it's going to load the photos into the app only when it's needed, because imagine trying to download 1,000 photos off the internet all at the same time. It would take forever. So what is another advantage of the table layout is that whatever is visible on the screen is in memory, and things that are maybe above, like you're scrolling, once it goes above the view, it removes it from memory. And as it's coming up into memory, it'll add it to memory. Does that make sense? So whatever is visible is in memory, and as things are not visible, it pulls them out of memory and adds them in memory as it goes along. That's the advantage of using this table layout dynamically like that, is so that it can program it so that the app is very memory efficient. That's the word I'm trying to say. They have special terms in there to describe that. I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah.
Yes? Mm-hmm.
Are we in this class going to discuss the actual tables that the data is stored in and how that works, or is that more advanced for what we're going to cover?
What do you mean by data sorted?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing an app for your phone and you have pictures,
Uh-huh.
they're not stored locally on your computer right now. They're stored on your phone. They're stored somewhere on
The cloud, maybe?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have some kind of
separate class for managing the cloud.
Yeah,
Like
that would
in
be
PHP,
the
you could talk about where data was.
Uh-huh.
PHP class that talked about data and tables.
In the book, they have tutorials on how to do that, as well as in the book that we have from Apple has that as well. I don't know if we'll get to that. Maybe the next class we'll have Monday night in the fall semester. I just don't know if we can get to all that.
Yeah, I
The-
was just curious.
This is just a very simple array, so it's not pulling data from somewhere else. The stuff is already in the app. Mhm.
And my other question is, are we gonna talk about how to actually get an app to a physical phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully our national park one.
Okay.
In fact, what the goal would be is if we make a good national park one, we actually add it to the app store. Wouldn't that be cool? Why not? I mean, you've seen some of the national park ones there. Some of them are pretty bad. So I don't know. I mean, and we'll make Apple help us. How about that? You know, they need to give us a free, after they came and took all our photos, they need to give us a free developer account. That's what I'm going to demand them to give it. It's better having it because, right, a developer account is $100, $99, right? For all the pictures they took of us and stuff, they can give us a free developer account. Don't you think so?
Yeah, your team didn't negotiate very well.
Yeah, I know. Well, they didn't give him much information either. So, yeah, I'll work that out with him this week. I'll tell him that that's something that they should provide. Okay, let's continue here. Again, I summarized the beginning there, static versus dynamic table views. Again, some advantages of doing it. Again, you have at the very bottom of the first page there, the table view, delegate, and data source. Each table view is an application needs to have a delegate and a data source associated with it. The exception of static tables do not, of course, because you're not using data. The data source implements the UI table view data source protocol, which basically consists of a number of methods that define the title information, how many rows, and so on. So again, what they're saying there on that first page, that UI table view data source is an actual separate Swift file. It's a Swift file that already has the programming for you. You just need to add your content to it. So we'll learn how to make that special Swift file today. Okay, so that's a special Swift file. Let's turn a page. Most importantly, supplied the table view with cell objects can be displayed. The delegate implements the UI table view delegate protocol and provides additional controls over the appearance and functionality of the table view, including detecting when a user touches a specific row, defining custom row heights, and indentations, and also there. So again, one of the things you can do with the table layout is you can customize what the view looks like. So each one of the boxes that go across there, you can have a graphic in there, you put a title in there, you can tell it if you want a background, because I've had students in previous classes use a background, a picture that goes completely across the background. So you can actually do that as well, completely across the background. So it does have implementations for each of the cells. You can do them dynamically, and what I mean by that is you add the title, you add a graphic, and then using programming, it'll actually build this for you all the way down. So you just make an array for this, make an array for that, and it'll actually just put it in there dynamically for you. So you don't build it. It's just a great box. So programming does it. So you can see some examples of what the table view would look like there on the middle of page 188. Some table views might have a picture, as you can see with the car one, right? Other ones could just be a list, like the date one there. In addition, you can actually group cells together, so you can actually have groups of cells. That's what they're talking about at the bottom of page 188. The rows are organized into groups according to specific criteria, right? So maybe you have cars, right? Maybe you have all Volvos, or maybe you have all that, and you can group them together. Okay, let's turn to page 189. Again, the table cell, you can have it self-sizing, or you can build, you can designate a size. Again, what the self-sizing would be like the car one, as you saw in the previous example with the car, you know, so you might need to have it grow or shrink according to the content that goes into the cell. Dynamic type. Again, one of the ways that they use that is to use the default settings. Now, they use kind of the terms that you have in web design for dynamic type. You have headline, subhead, and so on. So the dynamic type inside of Xcode is the same kind of similar to HTML, right? So you have that as well. So keep that in mind, dynamic type. As you can see right there, you see it right there. They do have the list there on page 189. You have body, call out, footnote, headline, subhead, title 1, title 2. These are default ones. The advantage of that, using the default fonts like that, is that when people go into their settings, let's say they're, we don't want to use the elderly people or whatever, but people that can't see the text very well, they can go into the iOS and change the text size setting. That will also change in your app if you use the dynamic set text. That's what they're kind of talking about. The advantage of the dynamic text is that it can take advantage of the iOS preferences, so that when people change the size, it changes. That's what they're talking about there. You can see the idea. I'm going to turn to page 190. And then they talk about the preferred size. In code, you can actually go through the code and change the size as well. And as you can see there, the cell. So let's just look at the code on page 190 towards the top. You notice it says cell. Cell would be a consonant, right? And then my label is the text that goes into the cell, right? And you can tell it what font you want. See how it says font? And then you can tell it what size if you want it to be headline. So all that code that you see right there is the dynamic text. And hopefully you're learning to read it by now. The cell in this is a consonant of the cell right there. That would be the box that goes across. My label is built into the table layout. And then you're telling it what you want to change is the font, and then you're changing to the UI font is built into Xcode, and then the preferred font is part of that for your text, and you say headline. So this is just an example of how you could program the font in what size text you want to be in your cell. Okay, that's that line. And of course you could change it to any one of the other ones, subhead, body, call out, so on. Clearly, the text size selected by the user will dictate the size of any cell. And so what they're saying by that is the cell can change according to the size of the font. And they go over this a lot about alignment and so on. And they talk about some default ones and default colors. So if you use certain default fonts, they'll have certain characteristics already for those default fonts. And if you look there, you'll see, for example, the subtitle is black text aligned left with detailed label text positioned beneath in a smaller font using gray foreground. So that could be text. So again, you can have more than one text in your box, right? You have camping, and then you have a subtitle under there. It could be smaller, grayer, but it says grayer underneath there. That's more information for that. You see that? Okay, so these are kind of default for the cells themselves. And so on. Then they talk about the table view cell reuse. That was the concept I just talked about, where as you are scrolling, things are brought in and out of memory so that it doesn't crash your app and you're not doing too much in memory. That's where it says cell reuse. Table view is a basic level comprised of UI table object and use table for each row to be displayed. And so they go over, 1,000 photos and that. We don't have to read all that to you. I'm sure you can read that on your own. Let's turn to page 191. I think you get the concept I was just trying to tell you. So that's what they're kind of talking about in all this text that you have right here is, this reusable cell, where as things are being loaded and as the person's scrolling through the tables, things can be taken in and out of memory automatically. You don't have to think about it. It's doing it for you, which is, why we're using such a strong, programming language like Swift to do all that for us, so that we don't have to actually deal with that. Is what I'm trying to say. Like other programming languages, you might have to actually program it to take things in and out of memory, and so on. And So that's all they really talked about in this first few pages of this handout. Please go through and read all that right there, especially this reuse thing that I was just talking about. Spend some time doing that. Okay, let's turn the page. I'm going to go all the way to page 193. You're asking me what happened to 192. That was a blank page in the book. So you're not missing a page. I know it goes from 191 to 193. Just remember there was a blank page from the book. Okay, 193, using Xcode Storyboard to build a dynamic table view. So we'll go through this together right now. You can start up your Xcode. I'm on the welcome screen right now, so go and start your Xcode. We're going to build a dynamic table view right now. It's not that hard. We can get through it today. I'm fairly confident we can do this in a half hour. I know you can do it. We'll do it together. We can do it together right now. Everybody ready? So I'm going to start with a new Xcode project right there. Single view is fine. We're going to call it single view is fine. I'm going to hit next. We're going to call it, the book, this handout says call it table view story. So we're going to call it table view story like that. Table view story. Then we're going to hit next. Find a place on your computer to put it. And you'll end up looking like this. First thing they want you to do is go to the, and I'll give you a second to get to this point. Okay, let's go to the main storyboard. So again, I think I mentioned already, we don't use the default stuff. We're going to delete all this, or what they call clean slate in the handout. So we're going to actually go to the view controller, and what are we going to do? We're going to hit the delete key. Boom. So go click on that and delete it. Make it blue and click on it and delete it. In addition, we're going to get rid of the view controller Swift. We're not using this. Remember, we're using a table view, so you don't need this anymore. I'm going to click on the view controller, and I'm going to hit delete as well. It's going to ask you, yeah, you can move it into the trash. We're not going to use it. So again, the two things you delete if you're using a table view is you're going to remove the view controller and you delete the Swift file, the view controller Swift file. Okay, now we need to make our own. We're going to be using our own view controller that is specifically designed for a table view, as well as the programming specifically designed for a table view. So to add that, we're going to go and add a table view. Again, it's at the bottom of page 193. Entry point in the application consists of tourist attractions with each table view cell containing the names of attractions corresponding image. As such, we will need to add a table view controller instance to the storyboard file. Select the main storyboard file so that the canvas appears in the center of the Xcode window. From there, Object Library, access View, Utilities, Show Object Library menu, option, and drag a table view controller object and drop it into the storyboard. So how do we do that? Well, of course, we select our main storyboard that's right here. We're going to go all the way down here to where we add things. Remember down in the lower right corner down here? If you don't see that, again, make sure you have your little blue down arrow right here. And there is one for table view down there, and it's called Table View Controller. Well, I'm sure if you type in table view, you'll get it. See how it says table view controller, right? I'm going to take this table view controller, I'm going to drag it out to my screen. I'm going to turn the page. Again, you should see it in the middle of the screen. In addition, we need to add the initial controller. So with the new view controller selected in the storyboard, display attributes and enable this as initial view controller. So we want the app to start with this. So if you'll notice, again, I still have the blue arrow pointing down. You'll see where it says is initial view controller. We need to check that box right there. That tells it this is the first one. See the little blue box right here? Is initial view controller. Do you see that? It's on page 194 towards the top. With a storyboard now and a view controller instance, with an instance is also a prototype table view cell that we will be using to configure to design the cells. Again, they actually have a cell already here. You can see it towards the top up here. This is where the cell is, and we'll be using this to configure. We'll put in an image in there and a label, like a label in there. So let's read this a little bit. So what do we have in this table view is within the storyboard, we have a table view controller instance. With the instance is also a prototype table cell that we will be able to configure to design the cells for our table. At this moment, these are generic table view cells and table view controller classes that do not give us much in the way of control within our application. So that we extend the functionalities in instances, we will need to declare them as being subclasses of the UI table controller and the UI table view cell, respectively. Before doing so, however, we need to actually create those subclasses. So you need to create some programming to do this, just like we would make a new Swift file. We're going to make special files for the table view. So in there, we will be declaring the table view controller instance within our storyboard as being a subclass of the UI table controller named attraction table view controller. At present, this subclass does not exist within our project, so clearly we need to create it before proceeding. To achieve this, select the File, New File menu, and the resulting panel option, Create New iOS Coca Touch class. Click Next, and subsequently screen, name the class table view controller, change the subclass of the menu to UI table controller, make sure that is also create a XIB file option is turned off, and then click next. So what they're trying to say is we have, just like we have when we're using the view controller, you need to have a Swift file that goes along with that. Well, we have a table view controller, we need to have a programming file that goes along with it, and it's a special one for the table layout.
Hi, what's your name?
This is Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, Gene's not here. Tomorrow. He likes to talk to Gene, I know. Him and Gene are buddies. Okay, so let's make the file. To do that, we go under File, New, File. So you go under File, New File. We're going to make the programming file. There we go. And comes up here. Again, we're using Cocoa Touch class, a Cocoa Touch class. And we're going to say Next. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call it, what did they say to call it? New file, UI, click Next. So attraction table view controller. Name the class attraction, ATTRACTION, attraction table view controller, like that. Then the subclass is going to be the UI table view controller, right? And change the subclass to UI table view controller, UI table view controller. So I guess my whole point here is that it's built into Xcode to have that special programming. And you'll notice when we get to that, you'll see there's special programming in there already set for you. And so they're anticipating that. And of course, it is going to be a Swift file. And that's it. And then we hit Create or Next. And then put it in the same folder. It's fine. Put it in the same folder with your other ones. Hit Create, and there it is. And you'll notice as we scroll through it, you'll see there's special ones. Some of the ones that we're going to use are down here. You're going to have to turn these off. So remember, we're going to be using some of these down here, specifically this right here. So make sure, of course, you turn off that. So we're going to be using this. Again, this is what programmed it. So all this is built right into Swift to allow you to manage this table view. Is basically what it is. Okay, we need to make one more as well. Another one for the interface elements. There's another one for the interface elements that you need to create. Within the table view controller, add to the storyboard in the previous section. Xcode also adds a prototype table cell. Later in this chapter, we'll add the image to view in order to, once again, create a subclass, perform the steps by selecting new file menu option. Okay, we need to make one more, and the next one we need to make is not necessarily for the cell, because this one is actually for the, kind of the cell. But we need to add a programming element for the pieces that you put in, the image and the title need to have its own programming so that you can make your array and call that. So we're going to need to make one more programming one. I'm going to click the main storyboard. It doesn't matter if you did that or not. I'm just going to click it anyways. And I'm going to make one more by going under File, New, File again. So we're going to go under File, New, File again. And then in this case, again, we're going to use a Cocoa Touch. Cocoa Touch. Then we're going to say Next. And then this one's going to be Table View Cell. Table View Cell. So we type in touch. Name the new one Table Attraction Table View Cell. Attraction Table View Cell. And change the subclass to the UI Table View Cell collection. No, this one, Table View Cell. Is that it? Yeah, this one. Again, what is the purpose of this one? This is for the interface elements that go into the cell itself. So make sure when we drag the elements in the programming, you put it in this one. I made that mistake a couple times when I was doing this, where I put the outlets, right? Because we call those outlets, right? Where when it's programming something, I put them in this first one, and it didn't work. And, Did I name it wrong? Oh,
Cell written wrong, and it looks like you have the other thing out.
whoosh. What was it? Okay, I'm spelling Table View Cell. That's correct. And then this is UI Table View Cell.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all good. Okay, good. Thank you. And put it in the same spot. Okay. So remember, when you make the outlets, it goes into this one. Just keep that in mind. We just made two. Make sure you put the outlets in that one. Okay, let's go back to the main storyboard. I'm going to turn the page. Turn the page. Okay, now we need to tell the elements to actually take advantage of this programming. To do that, we need to connect the programming to the table cells themselves. So again, select the main storyboard right here. And in the main storyboard, we need to tell it which programming we're going to use. So make sure make sure it's highlighted here. I don't know why. I don't know. Storyboard highlighted here. And then within the Identity Inspector view utility, show Identity Inspector. Use the class drop-down menu to change the class from UI Table Controller to Attraction Table View Controller as illustrated in there. So again, we're going to jump to this one right here. See this this one that says Show Identity Inspector. Again, make sure that this is selected here. I don't know why it's not blue, but see how I have this selected here? Selected here. Selected. Oh, there it is. Make sure it's blue at the top. How about click the top? There we go. Blue. 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 Okay, sorry. It's very tricky, I know. I'm trying. Where you click, and it's sometimes difficult.
Get it to be blue?
Click the bar at the top. Off and then on, maybe. Off and on. Make sure it's blue. Then again, this option right here, the utility inspector right here, you change that to Attraction Table View Controller right there. Boom. This one right here, the first option there. Similar, select the table cell within the Table View Controller story scene and change the class to UI Table Cell to UI Table Attraction View Cell. So again, they want you to select the cell now. So down here where the cell is, see the cell right here? See this? This is the cell here. So click down here now. It should be gray. It's not blue, but it's okay. Oh, hopefully that's, did I click right? Let me, ooh, I don't know. Is this the right? Let's see. Let me see. I did.
You're clicked on the content.
So click just here.
I always.
Oh, that's not showing
On
up.
the left where the names are, because it's easier than the images.
Where, right here?
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, there we go. So yeah, and then it should say attraction table view cell right there. So again, what we've just done is we've taken the elements of the UI here and connected them to the Swift files that we made. That's basically what it's doing. And then we need to go down to where it says later in the chapter code we'll add project instance to the prototype cell. This will require that the cell be assigned a reuse identifier within the storyboard still visible. In Xcode, select the prototype cell and display attributes within the inspector. Change the identifier field to attraction table cell. So again, we're going to go to the blue one right here, and under the identifier, you need to type in attraction table. Am I doing this cell? Do I have to type in it, or did it show up? No. I just typed it in there. I think that's right. No, it's attraction table cell. Table views are made up of multiple cells, each of which is actually either an instance of the UI table cell class or a subclass thereof. A useful feature of the storyboarding allows the developer to visually construct the user interface elements that are to appear in the table cell and then replicate that cell at runtime. For the purpose of this example, each table cell needs to display an image view and a label, which in turn will connect to outlets that we will later declare in the attraction table view cell subclass. Much like any other interface builder layout, components may be dragged from the object library panel and dropped into the scene within the storyboard. With this in mind, drag and drop a label and an image object into the prototype cell. Resize the position, the elements so that the cell layout resembles the illustration on the next page. And you'll see the next page. So again, here we go. Make sure you put that in there. I think that's correct. So I'm going to go down here and type in image view, image, and I'm going to drag an image view in to here. And then I'm going to resize it so it fits kind of inside the cell there, kind of like what it looks like there in the handout. And then you also need to put a label in there, label. And you're going to drag the label in there and kind of put it to the side there, and you can make it a little bigger and stretch a little bigger in case the label is a little longer. And notice how it can align to it as well. There's some already alignment features that are in there to help you align things. So kind of like the drawing that they have on the top of page 196. Select the image view using the Auto Layout Add New Constraints menu. Set spacing to nearest neighbor. Constraints on the top, left, and bottom. All the views with the constraints to margin option turned off. Before adding the constraints, also enable the width constraint. What that'll do is, I guess, give it a fixed size, I believe. So again, select the image itself once you put it in there. And we're going to go under Add New Constraints. So I'm going to go right here to my constraints, and the constraints it wants you to add again is set the spacing to nearest neighbor. Spacing to nearest neighbor is on. What do we have here? Oh, this is 0.5. Maybe I should make it a little smaller. Let me make it just a little bit smaller here. Something like that. Yeah. Okay, let me do it again. That looks a little better. Okay. And the reason why I just shrunk it down was I didn't want it. It said negative something. It looks like it was, the image was kind of bleeding down to another cell possibly. That's the only reason why I did that. Okay, in the using the Auto Layout Add New Constraints menu, set spacing to nearest neighbor. constraints on the top, left, bottom edges. Top, left, and bottom edges. So again, top, left, and bottom edges. Didn't say anything about right though, did it? I think because we're going to have the label on the right. And of course the constraint of margins is off. Before adding the constraint, also enable the width constraint. So that would be this one right here, width. So the 4 things I changed in here was boom, 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 boom. And I guess all the pictures will be 170 pixels wide. I actually did it differently in my example for the national park. I remember I put icons in there, not photos. And those icons have a fixed size, and I actually have width and height the same. So in this handout, they're just doing width. When I use, so I did an example where I have icons that go along the side over here. And I actually had to use not just width, but also height. And I made it square, because all my icons were kind of square. And it worked just fine, So you give it a square one here, so that this was the same. And then it just put the image in there and it just fit perfectly in there. Okay, so I know this tutorial is just putting photos in there, but I do a different example where I put an icon in there. Select the label. So then we hit OK. And we're going to click on the label. And then with the label selected, add new constraint menu and add a spacing to nearest neighbor constraints on the left edge of the constraint. So again, we're going to go back to our constraints to the left edge, and I think, should we turn this off? Constrain the margin off as well, right? Yeah. Add a new constraint menu, add a spacing to nearest neighbor constraint to the left edge of the view, and turn constrain the margins off. And then hit OK. And I don't know, it kind of made it smaller. It didn't tell me to make it bigger, did it? It didn't tell me anything about width. Did I miss width? Oh, we did. I did. I messed up. Uh-oh, now I made a mistake. And I can't go back in time, can I?
Undo.
There we go. Yeah, I went back to undo. Okay, let me read it again. Select the label view, display the auto layout menu, and add vertically in the container. That's what I didn't do. Okay, so again, let's go back. I made a mistake. We need to do what? Vertical. No. What am I? Select the table, display auto layout menu, and add a vertically in container constraint. Vertically in container constraint. Here?
It's the other one, the other constraint.
Height?
Go select the other icon below. Get out of this, add constraint. No. Go down, 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 there. That one.
This one?
Yeah.
The align?
Yeah.
Oh. And say vertical. Is that the one they want? Vertical in container constraint. Okay, there we go. And then what else? Then, so hit OK, constraint. And then add a new constraint here and say to the left, right? And make sure this is turned off.
And enable width.
And where's the and enabled with?
Yeah.
This one right here? Oh no, height, width. Like that? So again, this and this and that. There we go. That looks better. Woo.
Can you open that again?
You want to do that again?
No, can I just see your constraint?
What's that?
Can I see the constraint again?
The one that I just did?
Yes.
Let me go.
The selection that you made.
So I clicked on it. I add vertical. I already did that.
Okay.
Then I went to constraints and I said left and then width, right?
I
Yeah.
don't see it saying to add width. Does it?
Width?
In the
First paragraph, page 196.
that was the image view.
That was the image?
That wasn't the label though. Select the label, display the auto layout line menu.
Okay, let me go back in time, man. Let me just see if we just add the. Let's just add the what? This? Yeah, I think that's fine. Just add. You don't need to do the width. I don't think. I don't know. I think it'll change the size of the label according to the text you put in. Hopefully. Okay, whatever. Let's just move on. I'm sure if we have any problems, we can go back and fix it. Okay, let's add some programming to the objects. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we connect these new objects that we just made to the programming. So in this case, within the storyboard file, a label and an image were added to the prototype cell. In turn, has been declared an instance of our new attraction table cell class. In order to maintain these user interface objects from within the code, we need to establish two outlets connecting to the object in the storyboard scene. Begin, therefore, by selecting the image view object, display the assistant editor, and I was sick over the weekend. Pretty sick all week. So my cough is coming back of me talking so much here. Okay, so go over here. You can deselect if you want. Go over here and, oh, not this one. We want, oh, jeez. We want the table view cell Swift. This one. It doesn't give me the option. When I click here, it just goes straight to this one. We don't want this one. We want
Click on the word above where your cursor is now. Click on that. Oh, on mine, it had a drop-down box and gave the other file name. Maybe under manual. No.
what you want is this one next to, you want this one next to this one, so you can drag. Hold on, I got it somehow. No. Don't want this one. You want the cell one. No. You guys have a drop-down menu for this?
Yeah.
How come I only have?
Under the file name, when we click on it, we get a
Mine's
choice
set
of
to
file
automatic.
name.
Mine's set to automatic.
But you have a list of the other one there?
Maybe the link didn't go through before.
Yeah, maybe I didn't do it right. Maybe I didn't do it right. Let me see. Do I have that? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
maybe I need to.
That's it.
Maybe I didn't have it selected right. Okay, let's try now. No. I must have done something wrong. Yeah, that's right. No, that doesn't show up there. No, maybe
So
I'm.
if you go to manual, when you're in the Olympic rings, there you go. Now go up to manual and see, is it in there somewhere?
There we go. Attraction table view cell. That's the one I want. Thank you. So if you can figure out how to get that in there, this is the one you want next to this, because you're going to drag these in here to make a connection. So how did we do that? We went to here, and then we went to manual. Was it manual? There we go, manual. And then attraction table view cell. And so inside here, underneath where it says UI table view cell, we want to make our connection here. So again, underneath here for this one, again, attraction table view cell Swift. Underneath here, I'm going to click on my view here, my image, And I'm gonna hold down my control key and I'm gonna click and drag in there to make an outlet, right? Remember making an outlet. And then make sure it says outlet right there. And we're going to give it a name of attraction image. ATTRACTION image, IMAGE. Attraction image with a capital I. And make sure it says UI image view is fine. And then we can say connect. Then again, I'm going to do the same thing with a label. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to click underneath this one again. And again, it's an outlet. This one's going to be a label and we're going to call it attraction label with a capital L. And I'm going to hit connect. So again, this label is connected to here, and this is connected to here. Then we can go and build a dynamic database then that will automatically generate. And so these connections are important. And when we're doing the programming for the database, you're using these terms, this term right here, and you're using this term right here, because these terms are related to this. This term is related to that. Again, make sure it's in the attraction table view cell. And notice when I roll over, you can see the little plus. See the plus, clicked on the right, see plus, plus. It says it's been connected to the element. If you're still having problems finding the attraction table view, here I'll do it again.
Click on the prototype, make sure you click on that top cell. That
When,
made the
when you're in
difference.
the main storyboard,
Here,
you've clicked on that specific storyboard affected which files it showed you.
so click up here.
No, I
Click
clicked on prototype
on the
cell.
cell itself,
There,
or the image.
right, click on the image.
Here.
No, the UI view image.
Try that, and then rings.
Oh, that one brought it up.
Yeah,
There you go.
I think it depends
So
on
it's-
where you are.
Totally context sensitive based on what you clicked on in the main storyboard.
Yeah, if you don't see that, again, the other way I did it was I went to what, manual was it? I went here, and I went to manual, storyboard, storyboard, and then I chose it here. So, can you find manual? If you can't get it to work, go to manual. Click up there where it says up here where it is, right here where this, see where it says automatic right here? Change that to manual. There, and then you should see it there. Did you guys all get that? Did you get it now? No? Over here, let me pause this. I just downloaded 4 images, and make sure you know what name they are, because you're going to have to use those names in the array. So I'm going to go back to my Xcode here, and I'm going to add those in. You can simply go to the assets window right here, right? The assets option right there, and you need to add them to your you need to add them if I can find my, oh, there it is. Find your folder, take your images that you have and drag them in to the program. So again, you might want to have them all the same size. I don't know how that's going to affect it. I think the table is already at 120 across, right? So it's going to squeeze it into that box somehow. I don't know how it's going to squeeze it in there, but so just get some images. Make sure you know the names of those images. Put them into the assets window, and now we will make the data source. Again, I'm kind of deviating from this handout. The concepts are the same. We're just use your own words and use your own images is all I'm trying to say, because I don't have the images from the book here, so it doesn't really matter. So dynamic table views require data source to provide the data that will be displayed to the user within the cells. By default, Xcode has designated the attraction table view controller class as the data source for the table view controller in the storyboard. Consequently, it is within the class that we build a very simple data model for our application consisting of a number of arrays. The first step is to declare these as properties in the attraction table view controller Swift. So again, instead of, we're going to go actually back to the main storyboard. And then not this one now. We're going to go to the other one. So you want to go back to the other programming file. So we're going to go back to, well, I guess we can click up here, and we're going to go back to the attraction table view controller Swift. So go to this one, the one that, you know, so you want this programming, this Swift file, the one that says attraction table view controller right here. Okay, it's a UI kit, and we're going to add our data source into that option. I'm going to turn the page to 197. And here's where we're going to make our arrays. At the very top up here, underneath here, we're going to declare our variables. Our variables are going to be attraction images, attraction names, and web addresses is where basically in this example, they actually go to different websites. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Wikipedia works fine, but if you go to a non-secure website, it won't work. For some reason, the app doesn't like to go, but at least the way that this handout works there. Let's look at what I'm trying to say. In the middle of page 197, you'll notice each Wikipedia link has an S in the HTTP, right? That HTTPS works. But if you go to one that's just HTTP without the S, the app doesn't think it's secure and will kind of block it. So how I got around it is I had to go and change some settings in the permissions. And I did get it to work by doing that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is if you want to see it actually work properly, you can actually just use the Wikipedia ones. It doesn't really matter where it's going. The concept is what I'm trying to say. The Wikipedia ones work, again, fine because it's an HTTPS. So you might want to change it to a different one. Just make sure it's a secure page is what I'm trying to say. So let's add our variables. You got images, you got names, and so the images are the pictures, right? You're going to make an array of pictures. The attractions are the names of the files that would be on the labels, and then the web addresses would be where it goes when the person clicks on the label itself. So I'm going to go and type in my variable attraction images equals string and then round brackets at the end, and then you can copy that if you want instead of having to retype all this.
What is the round brackets at the end doing?
It's initializing it so that you have,
Default initializer?
yeah, so that you can actually build the array, because you're making this an array. That's what I'm assuming.
Wouldn't it be kind of something like an optional that says that?
This might be an older way. This is actually an older programming book, right? So you might be able to use it a different way. So again, I have attraction images, attraction names, web addresses, and then a string. And then in addition, the arrays need to be initialized with some data when the application is loaded, making the viewDidLoad method an ideal location, remaining within the attraction table view controller Swift file. Modify the method as outlined in the following code fragment. So again, down below here where it did load is where we would actually initialize the arrays. So those attraction names are basically the names that would go in the label. So since I'm doing Joshua Tree, I might use something different. Then what they have there. So attraction names, and so I'm doing Joshua camping. I don't know, and then Joshua. Need to make a Joshua photos. What else do I have? Joshua photos. I got Joshua map, and then Joshua. Oh, Joshua. What else am I making? I'm making something else, right? Got a map. Website. Okay, so I have one array, and then we're gonna make one for web addresses. We'll probably have them all go to the same place. How about this? We just go to the website and copy and paste it. So I'm going to steal the Wikipedia page for Joshua Tree National Park. I know that one kind of works. If it's a secure page, I'm just going to have them all go to the same place. Oops. Okay, so I have them all going to the same Wikipedia National Park page. And then you put your pictures in. Notice how each picture does not have a space in the name. Try to avoid using spaces in the name, I think. So the last one is attraction images. Attraction images. And that is going to be the that is going to be a name. I think I called it Joshua1.jpg. And then I have, that's why I called them all the pretty easy name, Joshua. J-O-S-H. How about this? How about we just copy and paste? Change it. Copy. Oops. Yes. Paste. And then paste, paste, and then this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4. Okay, and then the last line there where it says table view estimated row height is equal to 50, they're giving it a fixed width, or at least estimated width for the height of the cell. It might need to be a little bigger, I don't know, because the picture is pretty big. If I have such big pictures, I don't know, it might just blow the whole cell up. I don't know what it's going to do because I don't have fixed size pictures. So I'm not sure what is going to happen, but let's just try it. Again, underneath here is I'm going to do a table view estimated row height. and it said equal to 50. I don't know. I'm gonna wing it here with this and see what happens. Okay, so I completed all that. And I'll give you a minute when you complete that. There we go. Okay, again, we're going to scroll down here to where it says Mark Table View Data Source, right? Is that what it says? Yeah. And they want you to remove the warning here. So we're going to get rid of this warning. Let's get rid of this warning too. And we're going to change this value to 1.
What warning did you get rid of?
Mark Table.
Comment,
The one that says Mark Table View Data
you
Source.
just got rid of the comment.
Yeah, I got rid of this data that was in here, the green stuff that was in here. Get rid of the green stuff in there. And I removed the one on top just to remove it. I don't think that is mostly necessary, but I did anyways. And then in here, you change that from 0 to 1. I think because we don't have number of sections. I think we only have 1. That's right. Maybe because remember they were talking about how you can have a group, right? Remember, I think this is saying, hey, do you want to have groups of data, right? So I think that's the reason why we only have 1, because we only have 1. But you could have groups, I believe. Okay, next, the next method is required to return the number of rows to be displayed in the table. This is equivalent to the number of items in our attraction array, so can be modified as the following. And so instead of putting a hardcore number in there, we're going to use the count function, right? You've probably used the count function in Excel before, right? Who's used count in Excel? Okay. Well, you might have used count in other programming too. Basically, count means it's going to give you a value within a list, or in this case, within the array. So that's why it's going to use the name. So down here, where we are at override table view sections, this one down here, let's remove this, I believe, is this that? Yeah. In the sections, yeah. So let's remove the warning here as well. And then it says return 0, but we don't want to return 0. We're going to return a number. And so we're going to put in attraction names dot count. Again, what count is it's going to count how many objects we have in our array. And since I have 4, it's going to put 4 in there. So that you could hardcore this and put 4 in there if you wanted to. But the advantage of count in here is that you can add more to the array and it'll automatically add and update your table. That's why we use it. That's why you use it in Excel too, right? You guys need to learn Excel. Excel is the most important program to learn. The above code returns the count property of attraction names, the number of items in the array. The final data source method that is need to be modified is the table view cell for row at. Each time the table view controller needs a new cell to display, it will call this method and pass through an index value indicating the row of which the cell object is required. It is the responsibility of this method to return an instance of our attraction table view cell class and extract the correct attraction name and image file name from the data arrays based on the index value passed through the method. This code will then set those values on the appropriate outlet on an attraction view table cell object, beginning by removing the common markers, and from around the template of this method, then rewrite the method so that it reads as the following. Again, if you look, this is the part where it's down here. To get rid of the override is we're going to remove again this little asterisk, this one right here, boom, and then of course the ending one there, boom, and then we're going to delete this one, boom. And I can make my screen a little bit bigger by going over here a little bit. Hold on. Here we go. Again, down here, remove the little asterisks. And then we're going to adjust this. We need to give it the as. And so down here where it says under index path, they have us put an as, and I think this as with exclamation point is actually in the same line. It's in the same line as this. I think you put as with the exclamation point, and then attraction table view cell. Attraction table view cell. Then we're going to make a constant, it looks like, called row. Oh, I missed. What did I miss?
The reused identifier needs to be changed to attraction table cell.
Oh, yeah, there we go. This box right here with it in here, we're going to put in our table cell. Attraction table cell. That's the name of the file that we made, a Swift file, right? Okay, and then what do we have here? We have let row equal index path dot row. And then we have cell, attraction label font. So this is changing the font to the headline, just like we saw at the very beginning, right? So cell dot attraction label font. Yeah, you can actually leave that out if you didn't want to. If you don't want to type all that in, it actually works without that. But that's what they're doing there. Attraction label dot font equals UI font dot preferred font, and then of course this is the dynamic font for text style is equal to, or the colon, UI font text style dot headline. Whoosh. Okay, that was a long one. Hopefully you typed that right. And then we have cell attraction label, and of course that, spell label right, label, and that's going to be text, and then we're going to bring in the array. That array is called attraction names, right? And then of course that is going to be the row. And then did I spell something wrong? Nope. And then now we need to bring the images in. Cell dot attraction image is an image, and that is going to be UI image, and then we're going to be using the name of the file, named, and that's named what? Attraction images. And then that's in a row. And then return cell. Okay, so I got an error. Who doesn't get errors, right? What is this? Attraction table view cell. I don't have an attraction table view cell. Is that what I called it? I don't have a traction table view cell. What is this? A traction table view cell. It's right here. You mean? Why?
Oh, it's because it's spelled attraction there.
What did I spell? Oh, I spelled it wrong. ATTAC. I spelled it wrong. Where is it? Attraction?
You need to
Right where your cursor is.
Stop sign.
You're missing an R after the T.
Oh, I can't change it though. But what I could do is possibly change it here and say get rid of the R there. There we go.
Delete the outlet and remake it, and then you're forever saved from trying to figure out what you didn't follow.
So I'd have to change it here then too, huh? No? Did I?
I would just.
Okay, what do I need to do? This is so close, but yet so far.
Is the typo in the outlet?
Yeah, the typo is in the name of the file.
The typo is in here. I would have to delete this and relink everything.
Gotcha.
Just keep the typo in there.
Let me do that. Let me delete that. Oh, that's gonna be a mess. Okay, I just did that. Let me make a new. Let me see if I can fix this. It was a Cocoa Touch, wasn't it? And it was, what was it called? Traction table view. Was that what it's called? Traction table view cell, right?
Yeah.
Cell like that. And it was a table view cell right there, yeah. Traction table view cell. And we're gonna put it in there. And there it is. Now we're gonna make my outlets, connect my outlets again. So if we click on our outlet, we gotta go, oh boy, they got all kinds of errors here, don't they? Oh, it didn't even show up here. Uh-oh, now I got a lot of problems. Oh, it didn't even show up here. Where did it go? Oh, up here. It's gonna be in there. There we go. Didn't put it in the right spot. Okay, what was this one called? What was the outlet called? It was called traction table. What was it called? Traction. Image, right? Traction, ATTRACTION, image, right? Traction image. And then the other one was a label. And that is called a traction label. Okay, so we have that, we have that. And let's bring this back in. Okay, that looks right. No, isn't this UI table view here? Yeah, traction table view cell, that's fine. Okay, Swift source, traction. Yeah. Does that need to be UI table label? No. And then whoosh, didn't like anything now. Where was my cleanup? Clean up, clean up, clean up. There we go. Oh! Traction has no member? It has a member. I just made it. It has a member right there. See it right there? It has a member. No. All right, I need a bigger screen. Let's see. We made those. I did make one called attraction label. I did make one called attraction table view cell. And I did make one called attraction table view cell. Attraction image. So for some reason it doesn't like that this. I did make that though. It's giving me a problem with these. It's now not connecting to that for some reason. Bummer. See what you get for spelling things wrong, right?
Go back to your outlet again. Where your
I spelled it right this time. For some reason, it's not connecting to this.
The outlets aren't, the little circles are.
Oh, they're not connected? Should be connected. Oh, there they are.
There.
Let me
The
see.
little circles are unhappy.
Oh, you're right. It's because That's what happens when you delete things.
All fixed.
So
Drag it.
here's how I fixed that. Yeah, this is the problem I've had before. Was to shit. I just wish I had more space. So if you delete something like that, I found the way to fix these outlets again is to because it has two outlets. It has the first one I did, and then I deleted it, and then it added the second one. So that's why it has problems like that. So how I fixed this in the past was use the control key. Control key, click on the thing, the outlet thing, and then it should bring up this, and you should be able to delete one and then add the other one. Using this window, I fixed it before.
Is that the same as if you use that right hand menu that we've gone to, where like the measurements and the font size are? It's the circle with the, how do you get it? You go up to the upper right and you do right hand, that guy. And then you, is your UI image click and, on mine, you know how you have the, yeah. Go to the far right with the circle with a right arrow. You can fix them there also, so it looks fixed. Those are all the outlets it knows about right now.
Okay, now I just deleted it. Okay, now we can make a new one.
Yes, but I do it with the drag and click.
That's you did the wrong one.
That's your
Doing
image
label.
anyway.
Still not working. Oh, it did. No, this is. Did that work? Oh yeah, it did work. That one. Did it?
It looks like it did, but the dot in the code didn't change, did it?
I was so close.
Go again from your image to your image fix.
I don't know. Let me see. Click on this and then add. No, I can't.
I would just click on control click the image and drag it over to that line of code. just like disturb it, see if it'll attach up. Oops, it's not control click.
Oh, now it's moving. Wonderful. Oh, jeez, I don't know.
This is Dragon Click.
It's control and click on my keyboard.
I don't know what to do. Shit. Okay. How about we just delete these again? Okay, they're gone. Let me remove all the things that's gonna go. Go away. Go away.
You have to X instead of plus.
There we go. Okay, that's gone. And that one has nothing. Okay, let me try again. So try this again. This was attraction. Image.
Yep.
Okay, and then this one is attraction.
Wait, there's a typo.
Oh man. Attraction label. That looks right. Okay, but see, these things still don't look like they're connecting right.
That's crazy.
Because, you know, usually when I roll over this, it highlights that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
So it doesn't seem like it's working. Yeah, look, I click on it and it says there's no outlets. And I click on it and it says there's no outlets. Oh, something happened there. No.
That's weird.
Okay, well, whatever. Why don't you go see if you can finish it and see if it works. Mine is not going to work, clearly. So the last line that you need to deal with is to see on page 199, it says let cell, self, table view, identifier, attraction self, or path as attraction self. So before proceeding with this tutorial, we need to make some time to deconstruct the code and explain what's happening. Review passing through the cell identifier attraction cell arguments. The system will find an attractive stable cell object available for use and one return. So that's fine. Now they're just the end is just talks about there. You should be able to test it and see what happens. I don't know, test. Mine's not gonna work. Well, maybe yours will. So you see when deleting things. So let me see. Anybody try it?
I got it, but it doesn't scroll, so it can only show up like three. But not for that. There's like one more. How do I make it?
So how I fixed that, if your images are all squishy like that, is I went and I gave it a height.
What, okay, what I,
The image itself, see where the image is selected? Remember it just told us to make 120 width? Also give it a height, and I got it to fit the image correct. So go back to where the image is and give it a height as well as a width in the constraint. Yeah, you want to add it. Make it square. Yeah. So what I did was make it square for the height. No, not there, in the actual constraint. So select the image on the storyboard, yeah. And then I clicked on that, open up the image, and then I went to the constraint and I gave it a square. So I made the height and width the same. So if you already have width, you don't want to add it again. Just add a height. I was adding height, make it the same, 122. And then add that. Okay, now try to it seems red, but it should make it square. I don't know, let's try. That's how I fix it. There we go. See how it looks a little better? And see if it'll go to a web page. Put an address. There's some things you need to do to give it permission. But you're close. Okay, yours is kind of squishy too, but it's not too
well, I
bad.
changed the height. I I limited
yeah, there you go. So it's not all.
Before it was just all off the charts.
But it's a good start. Most important thing is you understand the table view is very popular. Okay, go and so go and click on it, and then go to the identify. Yep, and then this one. Yes.
Right.
Okay, no track.
Okay, now do what?
Well, let me stop my recording.
Oh, you were missing